All right, welcome everybody to a Thursday special edition product spotlight where we are bringing you the people and the places and the processes that are changing the way we do things. Because at Dave Cooper Live, we are bringing on new guests and seeking out new ideas, seeking out new innovation and bringing people together. And today is a story like no other. And we're so happy to introduce this here on DaveCooper.live. Today, we are bringing industry together. We are bringing technology together. We are changing the way we build one step at a time. 1 + 1 in this case does not equal 2. This drives the industry way forward, especially in the modular construction world. And I'm really looking forward to having this conversation with you today. But first, we are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. So please hit that like and share button right now. And also remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So without further ado, we are just going to jump right into this. We have Forward Solutions Group on, Ben Hershey, Joe Butler, and we're going to have Jordy Putchinger on from Modular. So why don't we get into it right now? Let's bring Ben into the show. Mr.
Hey,
Ben,
Dave, how you doing?
How are you?
I'm great. How about you, Dave?
Yeah, I'm having a great day. I honestly
Awesome.
am. This is such a highlight for me to be able to do this for you and the Forward Solutions Group and the team and Modular, because what you guys are pulling together as a team and to help grow this industry forward from an end-to-end solution to simplify how we do things, to digitize how we do things, and to optimize process is absolutely amazing. So, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Dave.
Well, before we hop into this, Ben, I'm going to ask you, because I've heard the story of where you've been conceived at as a young guy, but
Oh, gosh.
it runs deep in you, the components world and everything else. But we ask everybody on the show, we want to know everything about you from the moment you were born to this very moment in time. And you only have 2 minutes to do it. And do not leave out any of the good stuff from the hospital, or we will call your mother.
Yeah, that's right. Boy, that would be an interesting story. But definitely, I was had the fortune of being born into this industry, the component and lumber industry from the start. His family has a deep history in components and modular and lumber. My dad was one of the first guys that started a company back in the Chicago area, he and his business partner, Dave Chambers. And so I really have been a part of this from the start. I always tell people one of the cool things was I'd bring a 2x4 in kindergarten, first grade when you had show and tell to talk about, how cool lumber is. And then certainly we always talk about how wood gets into your blood. That definitely runs deep. But had the opportunity to work for some great companies along the way in my learning process for one of the owners at Trustwell Systems, one of the suppliers of plates and software to the industry. And then certainly had the opportunity to come back in and work with my father through the years, work with his company, and then just grow that over time. So today, the consulting group and Forward Solutions, we've grown since 2010 and just had a great time helping companies in their journey as they're transitioning throughout the whole offsite industry, and where do they fit into that. And just as our show is starting today, just the opportunity to link together and purchase the Modular and bring that into the equation and be able to provide that to companies that are looking to move from archaic spreadsheets and paper into digitizing what they're doing. So,
yeah, for sure. Ben, you kind of just went over an overview. We could probably spend 4 or 5 shows just kind of going through your background, all the manufacturing facilities that you've been part of, whether working, owning, helping grow, all the way through lean manufacturing and, just setting up things to be more optimized and work. So with that, as you guys are growing as a team and looking at a company like Modular, where's the excitement behind that for you? And then we're going to bring Joe on. So, because Joe's going to take the show over. I already know.
Oh,
Joe.
He is. And, it's a great segue too, because I remember when Joe and I were talking almost a year ago right now, and Joe said, "Hey, you got to see this really cool software, and I think it's going to revolutionize the industry." And Joe introduced me to Jordy, and we got to talking and spending some time really looking at what they were doing. And then it wasn't until earlier this year that we got really serious about, this is a product that we wanted to own, and we wanted to be able to work with them. And so I talked to the company that owned it, MPE Engineering, Gerald Veltman, the CEO there, and just had great conversations with him and bring all this together. So, but yeah, Joe was the one that introduced me, and he said, Ben, this is the thing, this is the ticket. And that's the thing. I mean, it really was looking at something that was innovative and, light years ahead of where most of the industry is with regards to digitization of that entire process. So,
yeah. For sure. I met, I'm trying to think where I first met Joe and where we started our conversations. But, Joe is so on top of always talking to everybody and following up and, all the new technology. And it's quite amazing to have somebody like Joe in the industry thinking about the things that he does. So, all right, I'm done.
He's I'm sorry, but he's a valuable part of the team too. I mean, he just really keeps us the entire team up to date on a lot of things that he's also listening to, and it just has a great abundance of energy. So it's really cool to be able to work with him. So.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, without further ado, let's not keep the audience waiting. Joe, I knew I would get you on this show one way or the other, and today is the day. So, Joe Butler, welcome to the Dave Cooper Live Show. Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I've been excited to be on this show for a year.
Well, here you are. So, Joe, we ask everybody, just like I did with Ben, give us a quick rundown of your background. We want to know everything from the moment you were born to this very moment in time. Do not leave out any of the good stuff from the hospital, because Ben will call you.
Yeah, the good stuff from the hospital is my mom will tell you I'm an accident. So that's I think that's where it all starts. I'll keep it quick because everybody knows that Joe talks. So my dad has a degree in robotics. My mom taught computer science, and I'm just not that smart. So I had to find an alternative route. But I was really fortunate to have things around the house all the time growing up in the 80s and having computers around the house and having neat little toys and a little robot here and things there. And that always kept me interested. So I became a millwright. That's what I decided I was going to do. And I ended up in the cabinet industry right after being in a mill and being in a mine, doing my apprenticeship. And I really enjoyed that, and being around CNC automation, got exposed a little bit to the offsite world through some framing tables and some basic framing automation, I guess, in the mid 90s. And I ended up actually working on a framing table with a fellow named Fred Parsons, building a seniors complex. And it really mesmerized me. It was a part-time thing. And so that led me into the mass timber industry for a little while, and then a little bit into the component industry, not very long, and then back to the cabinet industry, and then into modular, where I've just been really fortunate to be a part of this industry that just never stops learning and growing. So I could talk forever, but I won't.
Yeah. No, hey, listen, that is for sure true. We know it, but there's, when you're talking, there's so much knowledge up there. There's so much experience that you have. And you always have a new way of thinking. And I really appreciate the conversations that we've had in the past and over the past couple of years. So, Joe, moving into this conversation, we are here to, one, talk about Forward Solutions Group, two, talk about the acquisition of Modular and bring Jordy in. Give us kind of the rundown of what got you so excited about Modular and the offerings that they bring to our industry, and the offerings that it just helps Forward Solutions Group bring to all of their customers across the globe.
Yeah, it really simply just being a part of the struggle and the grind every day in a modular factory. And I was really fortunate to be a part of some really dynamic groups that were pushing. But the way we always seen it was I'm an automation lover, and I love equipment, but there was this low-lying fruit in logistics and how to manage logistics and indirect hours, and the creep of indirect that happens in non-value added time through things like logistics. And so watching, I was again, like I said, the fortune comes with people. This industry is full of so many people that are so talented that nobody knows, and bringing all that talent together. So I was really fortunate again to be really hands-on with an analyst who really understood the economics of modular and how it's affected in the factory and the numbers, and was always beating the numbers into my head. Here, look at the indirects, look at these trends, trending. And I always seen the trends in the indirects, and I seen the trends in the fixed operating cost. And so as we started to want to move into how do we improve the industry, that was my big focus. Automation will come as the industry matures, but that was it. So when I met Jordy, and so you and I actually we met in Orlando, and it was really good. I avoided you so that you wouldn't ask me questions, and but Jordy and I got talking. We had a little bit of interaction prior to the World Modular, and I was just mesmerized by Jordy's vision and what this. When you start to walk through all of the issues that we had, from the P&L to efficiencies to all of a sudden we were checking boxes off with Modular, by digitizing, by creating efficiency, reducing different indirect costs, reducing the inefficiencies to pull out fixed overhead costs that we would typically see that we don't need anymore that this solution provides. So that's where it all started.
Yeah. So let me ask both of you, and Ben, if you want to chime in on this, how important right now is the innovation of technology coming into our industry to help us grow, move forward, tackle the affordable housing crisis, tackle the healthier home crisis, and all the other things that are happening right now in the labor force? How important is it, like a company like Modular, to come onto the stage with the platform that they have built to help drive us to the next level?
Well, I think if you heard what Joe said, he talked about just that whole process of the ERP and looking at how that integrates with the processes that are going on within a plant. One of the things that we see too often is people going into module, or even the current factories that are trying to do offsite, and in many respects, they're not bringing, when you talk about supply chain, when you talk about all of those labor processes that occur, and how do I digitize that? It's interesting how our industry, in many respects, the wood industry, the wood industry in general, to some, it's still far off. We really don't have a lot of that where we should be from a technology perspective. When you look at the automotive industry, when you look at other high-tech manufacturing, they're far and above, way ahead of us. And here's a piece of software, Modular, that Jordy and the team there have developed that really is going beyond what where we've been as an industry, and so it's like a leap ahead. And that's what's the cool thing that our industry needs. I mean, we've stayed in the past, and we've got to move forward, especially if, Dave, like you said, the whole idea of affordable housing. How do we truly get down to what is affordable? And we can play with the metric of what is that on a square foot basis, but the key is, how do I keep looking at and use technology to wring out every last bit of margin so that I truly am providing affordable housing to the market?
Yeah, for sure. Well, listen, I completely agree with you. We're tired of being in last place as an industry. That's where we're at. And this is one step closer to not being in last place when it comes to leading edge technology and really, really doing what the rest of the world is doing. You mentioned the automobile industry. I say it all the time. Housing should be Tesla. We should be the Tesla, right? And our automobile should be out there creating energy, and we plug it into our house and charge our house up. What the heck? So with that said, let's bring in Jordy Putchinger, founder of Modular. Let's see. Jordy, how are you today, my friend?
Dave, good. How's everybody?
Oh, man, we're doing great. We're even better now that you're here. Jordy, we met in Orlando, Florida. That's right. And Joe said that it rung a bell. And that was the first time that we met. And I was able to do an interview with you at, I believe it was World of Modular we were at. And then the world went to all kind of craziness here. So, Jordy, you have a very unique background, and we're going to jump into the details on how we got into Modular. But take a few moments, tell us a little bit about yourself. We want to know everything about you, Jordy, from the moment you were born to this very moment in time. Don't leave out any of the good stuff from the hospital, all right? Or we will call your mother. And also, you only have about 2 minutes to do it, so go ahead.
Fair enough. So one of the co-founders of Modular, but For me, my background's in technology. I've been in technology now for about 15 years. And over the last 10 years, I suppose, the last decade, I've been in technology / manufacturing. So myself and Bill Oliver, one of the other co-founders of Modular, we had the opportunity to build, the earlier version of this software inside of our own offsite manufacturing facility. So everything kind of birthed out of our own requirements and needs, and trying to find solutions for the issues and the challenges that we were having on a day-to-day basis. And ultimately, I mean, it boiled down to the fact that we just couldn't find anything for us. So we went down the path of developing our own internal software, originally just to work on and capture more accurate information around the bill of materials and the supply side of things, and eventually that driving that information down to the shop floor and getting feedback from that loop. We started building the platform into other operational areas of the business. Then 2019, we had the opportunity to commercialize the product, like Ben mentioned, with MPE Engineering. Yeah, I mean, it's been a wild last couple of years. Really heads down, trying to get the product developed and moving it, I guess, from that kind of on-prem solution that we had and bringing it into the cloud, a little bit more of a modern platform, something that's a little bit more scalable. But yeah, it's been a really enjoyable journey so far. And at the end of the day, I feel like it's just kind of starting, right? Joining and becoming part of this part of the team with Ford, that's gonna offer so many different solutions for our existing customers, for new customers. I really believe that we couldn't have found a better match as far as partners, if you will, to go down this journey with us and help develop this technology, not just for customers, if you will, but really for the industry, right? I mean, that's for us, that's really I think the driving mission behind what we're trying to do is, the industry is still stuck in that, lots of folks at least are still stuck in that paper process, like Ben was saying. Yeah, we think that we can make a really big impact on the industry by providing, technology that, not that we've reinvented the wheel, but we're providing a solution that's bespoke, if you will, for the industry, and tailored for the industry, right? So I think, hopefully with the solution that we've developed and going to further develop with Forward, offsite manufacturers don't have to go down that path that we did. There's a viable solution now, I guess, right? Dave, we got you on mute.
I'm mute. One and one is definitely bigger than two, and this is what we're talking about. And I have to say, with watching you talk, Jordy, and then seeing the faces of Joe and Ben, just kind of smiling, I'm just gonna put this into the mix. The culture that Forward Solutions Group has, the culture that Modular and Jordy you have, and knowing you all over the year, this is part of what's going to drive what your success is forward, the industry success is forward, and all the people that you're working with forward, because it's a culture of caring, it's a culture of learning, it's a culture of optimizing and customizing the solution per individual client. It's not a one size fits all. And you guys are just, have one more tool in the tool belt. And I think that's very powerful for people to understand, because culture is what makes great businesses, in my personal opinion, by all means. So there's a need for this in our industry. And like you said, Jordy and Ben and Joe, the paperwork shuffling has to come to an end. There's so much of it. I mean, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of pieces of paper that happen, from blueprints all the way through, resourcing materials and process optimization through your manufacturing facility and where things are. This is taking all of this information and putting it all in one solution. So why don't you guys give us an overview of the problems these are going to solve, if we have manufacturers, modular people watching, let's get down to the nitty gritty. What is it solving for them? Why am I doing this with you guys?
Joe, I think you should start. I mean, because you're.
Dave, I think and you've seen that roadmap to success that we've developed as kind of a guiding light for our clients and customers and us as a team. And that very first thing that we have is shaping that business model for Offsite. The next thing that comes along out of this 9-step road is infusing technology and innovation where it makes sense. And then the first thing we do is we want to radically rethink the way that we design. And part of that is being able to bring that environment into a holistic solution. Then we create an integrated and agile supply chain. We're doing that now in Modular, where we have the ability to bring the design and the supply chain together. And then we're going to create a stable manufacturing execution plan. That's kind of the fourth element or the fifth element down that road. So now our MES is now integrated into Modular. And then on with that comes all the strategy. We can, the next 4 items that come along our roadmap are implement flexible manufacturing strategy, commoditize skill and reskill the workers, and improve on-site execution, own the circular economy of products. And this really just kind of starts to check as we start to head down. We've shaped our business model. We're rethinking the way that we do design and the way we manage design inside the system. We're attaching design to the materials now, and we're also attaching the design, the materials to it, MES, to the manufacturing execution system, and on and on and on. So that's where I think that the very first thing that we do is we bridge all of the gaps that exist. We were talking about this yesterday. A previous employer that I worked for in the modular space has 11 software solutions, mostly driven by Excel. And when that happens, it creates a really challenging environment. And the other thing that I think Modular does really well, and Jordy, I think this is a good conversation that Jordy and I have all the time, is that it's quick to implement. And so we can take all of those silos, bring them all together into one platform, and then quickly implement them. It's not this laborious 12-month process. It's Joe and Jordy have a client, and we get them issuing POs and vendors and putting material into the system on a Saturday over a coffee. So that was the big intrigue.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, that kind of falls into what you're all about, right? Consulting, optimization for the offsite, construction process, design, labor, automation, and robotics. So you can tie all of this together now with a solution like this. Is that accurate?
It's accurate.
Yep.
I love it. I love it. So tell me, guys, where are we headed next with Modular? You have this system in place. Jordy, if I know you're just at the beginning of where this is headed.
Yeah, that's I think that's probably a fair statement. It's, for me, the most exciting part about this acquisition is becoming part of the Forward team. We're going to have just this insane depth of knowledge, right? That, even with the experience that both Bill and I have in technology and manufacturing, the depth that Forward really brings to the table is going to allow us to just tackle some of the bigger challenges that, we never, long-term goals that we wanted to, had ambitions to achieve, but, not that clear path in terms of how we were going to get there. With, joining the Forward Offsite Solutions team, that roadmap and how we get there becomes a lot more clear, right? So, yeah, I mean, as far as where we're going, one of the most exciting parts right out of the gate is obviously the fact that we're growing not just in team with sales and support and different product offerings, but in addition to that, Modular is hired. And so we're growing as an individual team. We're getting the resources that we need to really, again, get to that next step in our journey. So, we've got some exciting things, going on behind the scenes in terms of development. Like Joe was alluding to, there's a lot of work being done on the design side of things. You know, getting manufacturers into an accurate BOM before they actually begin manufacturing, that's been truthfully it's been a big eye opener, but it hasn't been a surprise, I guess, if you know what I'm saying. So we're trying to focus a little bit more on the design side. We came to this game, if you will, with a strong understanding of manufacturing, and so that's kind of where the platform, really strives today. But we know and recognize that upfront process that's really the bottleneck, right? Or at least one of the main ones. And for a number of different reasons. Supply chain, if we look at the supply chain today, it's an absolute mess, right? So the faster we can get that accurate information up front, the more time we're going to have to plan and prepare for long leads or materials that are, normally or regularly easily available, but now today they're not for any number of different reasons. So the design side of things is something that we're definitely focusing on, but we've got a bit of a new roadmap for an additional product that we're hoping to begin rolling out later on this year, called Modular Community. And I mean, community is, I think that for us is going to be, one of our tools to really accelerate how we plan on changing the industry, right? We don't want to, when people think about technology and stuff like that, they disruption and this and that. We don't want to disrupt, right? The manufacturing facilities they're chaos right now as they are. And so that the disruption factor from the technology perspective, we want to try and avoid that. And so, we want to make the manufacturers, their operations team, the production crew, everybody more efficient. And one of the ways that we want to do that is by putting, their suppliers and other stakeholders in the project to work for those manufacturers, right? So whether that's something like having real-time vendor pricing and information and inventory information right in your account, that's the kind of stuff that we're looking at moving towards in the future, right? And I think that's, we get asked, and I mean, I keep on thinking about World of Modular, Dave, when we were down there, right? I can't count the number of times different people, both suppliers as well as manufacturers, asked, what are suppliers doing differently for the offsite industry, right? In comparison to stick. And frankly, the answer is nothing. Suppliers are trying to figure out different ways to provide that niche supply chain, that niche product offering or service offering for manufacturers, but nobody's really found the vehicle to do that yet. And so that's kind of where we're wanting to move to, and really bridge that gap between the supply chain again and the offsite manufacturer. So it's, it falls in line with the overall or arcing idea and concept of Modular, which, we want to connect all of the stakeholders, right? There's plenty of really great platforms out there and technology solutions that are really powerful for manufacturing and for accounting and for everything else. That's right. But it's, there's no shame in saying that, offsite manufacturing is a little bit of a different beast, right? And so that's, we need a slightly different tool to accommodate for those different nuances. I think,
sure.
Again, going back to Ford, that's part of this acquisition is going to allow us to really accelerate to get to that next point.
Go ahead, Ben.
Well, I was just going to add, one of the cool things, Dave, is that, as the more that I've gotten to know Jordy and Bill Oliver and the rest of the Modular team, and like Jordy said, as they continue to grow that team, one of the cool things is you hear these ideas running that they're looking at, and that's something but it's been very important to me as we have built the Forward Solutions team. And that is that, each one of us has different strengths, and but we're all listening to each other to be able to say, hey, okay, how do we make this particular process or this particular part of the manufacturing or the offsite industry. You know, an offsite modular panelization, you know, that whole area is to make that better. And that's where Modular really comes in. But what's cool about what Jordy and Bill have done is that they're constant. It's like they've got a list on the wall that they're talking about. Okay, we got to plug in this. We can actually add to this. And you know, sometimes I look at my job for Jordy is to be able to say, what do you need? And we're going to make sure we plug you into that, make sure we provide that. But, you know, I look at, you know, and I hear this from Joe. Joe's just great about talking about this, how important supply chain, connecting supply chain into the entire offsite process and how important that is. And that's where Modular really fits in. But as Jordy said, we want to keep growing that so that it's dynamic, that, you know, it's unique to both modular and panelization. But there's even some other areas of the lumber industry, you know, when we think about millwork, things like that, that Modular fits in very well into that space. That again, they're using Excel sheets, they're using paper in that process.
Right.
So that's kind of the cool part of you when you say, where are we going? I mean, there's just a lot of avenues that I think if I, you know, let Jordy loose, he'd go in a whole bunch of directions. It's just how much time does he have in the week to do it? So,
right. Well, this is getting back to, you know, I want to get kind of into the basics on here. When we look at manufacturing, you know, throughout the country and what it has traditionally been, this is a system that can be implemented by existing manufacturers, and it can also be implemented, you know, by manufacturing that is currently coming onto the market. This is just one part of the process to where they can plug and play and start the process of optimizing their systems. One of the things we hear in this industry all the time is, I'm too busy to automate. I'm too busy to put these systems in. But with something like this, it's just the opposite. This is the first step into getting you to those next level, you know, to when your line does slow down or wherever you're at, that you can now optimize your line, save more money, be more efficient, and really grow where you're going. So, you know, right now, Modular, you have some existing customers, you have existing clients. This isn't something that's just come onto the market today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how the software currently is helping them optimize their business? What's some of the feedback that you have gotten from existing clients that are out there?
Joe, can you kind of speak to, because I mean, we've got both new and existing. I mean, that really works well into this.
Yeah.
Joe, you're
Muted, Joe.
I didn't mute me. So we have, you know, two different kind of market segments. One's the existing client, the other one's the new client. So we have new factory build right now going on in Indiana, where we're starting a whole operation, and we're building the foundation of this operation on this platform as the framework and the backbone to be able to manage the day-to-day business. And so I think, you know, that's one perspective. The other part is the ease of implementation. I literally, you know, there is no joking when we say that, you know, we find a business, they don't have a means of properly procuring, you know, materials. So in one day, you know, 2 days, basically, we can have that solution in place where you can issue a PO, track that PO, receive that PO, manage back orders, manage costing, all those different things. It's fast and quick. And that's where it's really beneficial to the existing operations, because there's so many of them out there that don't have this type of technology to be able to manage their business. So it is for the big company, it's for the small company, it's for the new company, it's for the existing company. It's just a whole group of solutions. So, you know, everything, Dave, that we struggle with in the factories, and I know all the factory people that would be listening today that understand, you know, the two-way communication of data and people, matching that to how do we manage materials. We also know that in our modular operations, the material labor rate is skewed compared to our traditional counterparts, in that we're, you know, we can get as far as 70% material cost, 30% labor cost. We can get that far. So we have to, you know, we have this giant pool of cost over here in materials that we should really focus a lot of energy on, because we can reduce that. So this really helps bring that in how we procure materials, how we manage them when they get to the facility, and create efficiencies around that. So it's just a quick solution. I hope that kind of answers
I think it does answer, I think it does answer it. And I think, to really simplify this for people that are out there watching, I mean, this is a solution where there's a really qualified team of people to help you implement and optimize your process where it's not overwhelming. It's not going to just eat up so much time that it affects your production line. These are all things that I think people really need to understand when it comes down to the basics. And that's what most are worried about, is slowing down. So we're going to go to a couple comments and say hello to a few people here. But when we come back, I'm going to ask you, how does adding Modular into the forward quiver make it easier to enter the offsite construction space? Because this is another tool that allows them to enter this market. But first, let's say hello to a few people that are out there. And all right, so we got George Ryman. Good morning from Heating Up Phoenix, Arizona. Good to see you, Mr. George Ryman. Always a pleasure. All right, Anthony Gouday's with us. He says, Joe is awesome. Hey, Joe, you got a fan club out there. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? I got some congratulations out there. Chris Rauch, big news. Congrats, Forward Solutions, which is awesome. Thank you, Chris, for tuning in today. And here we go. We'll read this next one. I'm going to have to blow this one up. We got a little bit of a book going here. So Thomas Griffin, looking at the working and system implementation in Offsite, Modular looks to be an awesome upcoming option. Collaboration, agile, simple, made for Offsite. Excited to see what Forward and Modular can do together, pulling ideas and resources as Jordy is talking about here. Also excited to see details in a Modular community. Yeah, that's going to be a big deal, man. I think that having a community where people can come together, collaborate, discuss, grow, build onto the system, right? I think is really where it's going to be. We got Henry Mickelberg across the pond saying, not hearing enough secret sauce, chaps. So don't you worry, Henry. We'll dive into some secret sauce here. I am 100% sure of it. I see Jordy, you already commented to answer him. So getting back to the show here, guys, let's talk about this. How does adding Modular into the forward quiver make it easier to enter the offsite construction space for people that are looking at entering this market? Ben, why don't you hop onto that?
Yeah, I think one of the things that is key to us is that, we've said this, where, that ability to track information, but it's not just tracking information, it's actually, how am I utilizing that data? So many times you see software that, like, I can collect a bunch of information throughout the operation. I'm collecting it in Excel, I'm collecting it in paper, I'm collecting it in other systems, but how am I actually using it? And I think that's one of the key parts of how do we implement Modular into a new manufacturing operation, particularly a focus on modular. And that's being able to, again, the control of the supply chain, the control of the information, how am I planning my resources, my people resources for labor, all of that really fits into that. When we talk about a quiver, it's being able to provide that tool that's going to allow that company to be successful right from the start. And, and I know Joe and Jordy have a different, view of that, which I think is, great. So, Joe.
No, I don't really. It's not a different view. The way that I see Modular helping people enter this market is it is an MES at the same time. So it's going to provide the structure and the framework, and here's how you can execute this. And so it's kind of whenever I go into Modular and I'm talking with a client or with somebody new, I always kind of marvel at it, because it's like, here's your CRM. Okay, so we're going to enter in some clients, and here's your materials, here's your inventory, here's your manufacturing system, your scheduling. It's kind of a playbook on how to enter in. So this is one of those great things that we can say is, you want a playbook, here's Modular. It's really going to hold your hand. And so I think that's a big part of it.
I love that. A playbook. It's exactly right. That's exactly what it is, right? Somebody's already done the hard work, named Jordy Putchinger here at the top right of my screen anyhow. And now you just have to get with it, plug and play it, and move it on. Jordy, what's your take on that? I saw you shaking your head and you were getting ready to jump on that comment as well.
Yeah, I mean, they're both right. It's right spot on. For me, I look at it, I think probably in the reverse opposite of Ben and Joe, in the sense that, starting a business for anybody, whether it's an offsite manufacturing facility or a retail store, whatever it is, it's scary, right? I mean, if you haven't done it before, it's a scary process. And when we're talking about offsite manufacturing, we're talking tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. And so that, it just makes it that much more scary, right? So I think from the technology standpoint, I hope that Modular can give people and interested in joining the industry or entering the industry that level of confidence that this isn't just another technology platform. It's built specifically for this particular use case, right? And so, my hope, and I think even kind of what we've started to see is that people, even the folks who don't have experience in the industry, like Joe was alluding to, I mean, we've tried to make the interface and everything just kind of like that playbook, straightforward. I need to create a new account. Well, it's in the CRM. I need to add a new piece of material to buy from vendor X. Go into inventory. It's very straightforward, right? So I think, again, from the technology side of things, I think because of our experience and where we come from, that's going to lend some confidence to people entering the market. And then on top of that, you pile on the consulting and the breadth of all the other services that Ford has to offer. Now it doesn't even really become, in my view, it doesn't even become a decision. It's just, well, there is no other solution where I can get this level of confidence and experience throughout the entire process, right? So obviously I'm biased, but again, in my view, I think that's almost a no-brainer, right? If you're starting a new business, you want to have people, in my view, who know what they're doing, who have experience. Every business type is going to be a little bit different, and offsite, as we all know, is, it is different. So having that experience, on-hand experience of actually working in the industry, I can definitely speak firsthand to what that means to our customers. So I think if you're coming in as a startup with Forward plus a technology solution, a lot of the headache and the unknowns, I think as a team we can alleviate a lot of that.
Sure. I mean, I think it's great that you're talking about having the confidence to move forward in offsite with this software. Do you have any metrics behind that, or is that something you'd share with those considering integrating Modular software? So how do they know what type of efficiencies that they will achieve by adopting this software, and what gives them that confidence, right, to make that move? And that kind of leads back, and we'll talk a little bit about Henry's secret sauce on the next question.
Yeah, I mean, from a metric and analytical perspective, we obviously do keep analytics and stuff like that inside the platform to understand who's using what and maybe where we need to improve the interface to make things easier for customers, things like that. But when we start talking about, how many dollars can I shave off my annual overhead and things like that, it's difficult to put a thumb on those things, right? Without using technology, it's difficult to understand, if you take a step back and go, okay, a good majority of the industry is using paper and spreadsheets and stuff like that. They haven't had the opportunity to move into a really efficient system for a number of different reasons, but that opportunity hasn't existed yet, right? And so for individual builders, I think it's definitely tough for them to recognize the value sometimes and what that return is going to look like and how quickly that return is going to come. But I mean, in our experience at our factory alone, we went from a 10-person purchasing team down to 3. The goal and the objective, of course, is not to eliminate jobs; it's to make the teams more efficient. So, being able to move those bodies and resources around to different departments and different places that maybe need a bit more assistance. Maybe it's project management, maybe it's material moving, year-end counts, whatever it might be. Modular gives people their time back because there is that one central source of truth. Instead of us calling on the radio and handing papers, we need this, we need that. it's just communicated to you, right? And so it's, again, calculating those seconds that you save and that compound over the year. I'm sure we're going to get to a point where we do have some really firm metrics around that. But it's just, it is a really tough thing to dial in, I guess.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So it sounds like there's anecdotal evidence right now, and my sense is that folks at Forward will be collecting that information and applying it to their process optimization, if I can say it right, and recommendations. So let's go. Let's go to a couple more comments that I see coming in, and then we're gonna wrap it up here. Can you believe it's already been 50 minutes, guys?
Wow.
It always just flies by. Always.
It does.
Well, let's say hi. So we have Damien Stapleton. Greetings from Ireland. Hey, Damien, thank you for joining us today. Appreciate you joining us. All right, we got another question here from Thomas. Thomas Griffin says, using data, absolutely. Ben, regarding the information and data, what do you need? Where do you need it? In whose hands? And in whose hands? Offsite has a lot of old dog construction people in it, and they are told to collect data, but their data often has little to no impact. Combine that with the step-by-step process playbook built into the digital tool or system that automatically takes the data and serves it up when and where is needed. Now you can make good decisions, move more quickly. This star. I love it.
You know, that's a great point from Thomas. And Thomas, I know him from a project. Good to see you on the line here. You know, so many times I say that, you know, when we think about, you know, here's all this data coming into, whether it's a tablet, a computer, or my smartphone. And a lot of times people are just, they get mesmerized by it, but they literally freeze with all of that data. And what do they actually do with it? And I'll never forget us doing work for a company one time, and we were developing new KPIs. And when we walked in, literally on a sheet of paper, 8.5 by 11, it was just full of all of this data. You know, the data was great, but what did it mean to everybody? And I think that's a key part of you know, Modular is just really drilling down that data into what's actionable. What am I actually going to do with it? I think that's what Jordy and Bill and the team there have done. That's just really cool, and it's going to be great for our customers.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the whole idea here. This is a partnership that you bring together. You know, companies out there do not need to think through this stuff. It's already been thought through, but you can help them analyze their in particular data for their systems or whatever they're using throughout their manufacturing facilities, which I love. Here's a great question from Damien Stapleton. Is Modular user-friendly for the European market? Examples would include metric versus imperial, currencies, etc. Jordy?
Not yet. No. We absolutely, of course, do want to move to European markets. I think the biggest hurdle for us to get over there is going to be the difference in privacy concerns and stuff like that. But so I mean, we're not there today, unfortunately, but that is a market that we would absolutely love to get into. And you know, Forward Solutions has roots over in that market. So again, I think that's another roadmap and another path that we're going to be able to bridge because of the team that we're now part of.
Yeah, for sure. All right, Damien, thank you for that question as well. It's a wrap on the comments, and I really do appreciate everybody tuning in and asking those questions. Gentlemen, we always ask everybody what their one thing is. So if you want to part with us today, what your one thing is, and it could be about the product, the software, or where you're headed and what you're doing. We all have that one thing, and then we're going to let you know where we're going to be next week because we are heading to Utah. So Ben, we're going to save you for last. Jordy, why don't you tell us what your one thing is first?
Oh, geez.
Or 5 things if you got 5.
Well, you know, I'll keep it simple. I would just love an opportunity to show Modular to more and more manufacturers, right? At the end of the day, our goal is to help improve any and every manufacturer that we possibly can. So, yeah, I mean, it's about getting the product out there, right? If we want to change the industry and in a positive way, yeah, it's, got to start somewhere. So that's the best I got for you, Dave. I don't know.
Hey, listen, man, everybody, I love it. I love it. It's meant to make you think a little bit on your toes. What the heck? All right, Joe, I know you got your one thing. Go for it.
Well, I'll give two for Henry's comment. Is the secret sauce to Modular Core is seamless, right? It's a seamless solution. And that's a big part of the secret. Thomas, down below, you can see the boots on the ground experience. For that comment, it's two-way data. We have a lot of good data going one direction. Now we have good data going two directions, which is important.
Love it. All right, Ben, you're up. Go for it. What's your one thing?
Yeah, what's exciting is that to be able to work with people who are like-minded, but really have a heart for this industry. And a heart means that you're looking for solutions that are going to advance us, move us beyond what we've always done in the past. And I think that's the cool thing about working with Jordy and Joe and the rest of the forward team is that we're constantly looking forward, keeping our eyes forward. And it makes the day great. It makes it go by fast, just like you're talking about the show going by really fast. That's what makes it fun to be able to be a part of this team.
Yeah, for sure. Well, listen, guys, I really appreciate you taking the time to be on the show. Got to put this out here, everyone. We are heading out to Utah next week, and we are going to be highlighting the house that she built, the entire team from design to build to finishing touches, all amazing women at the top of their game. That's going to be May 13th, 1 p.m. Eastern, in collaboration with NAHB student chapters. And then we will be on Tuesday, May 18th, we will be on location with Rick Murdoch, co-founder of Audival, and the Solutioneers, because that's what their team is called, Solutioneers, working toward the vision of housing affordability with robotics, volumetric, modular construction. Listen, it all comes down to culture. So we are live streaming, so everybody knows right now with the student chapter at the NAHB and the universities all across the country, we need more young people in this industry. They're not coming to us, so we're going to them, and we're having a great time doing it. So Ben Hershey, Forward Solutions Group, Joe Butler, Jordy, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for allowing us to do this on our show and let the world know what's happening, that there are bigger and brighter things happening to help them be successful out there. And that's all you guys do. And you help other people succeed where others have failed. And I think that's what's amazing. And again, just going back to the culture, you guys are rock stars, man. Love you.
Well, thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks.
Yeah, for sure. All right, everybody, that is a wrap. We will see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. on BS Friday with Mark Bare Naked Willie. Please do tune in, and I'll see you Saturday on Coffee with Dave. The three of you plus one me. Stick around right there. We'll come back to you right after the outro here. Everybody else, have a wonderful afternoon. Bye now.